Hello, everyone. So we're going to see how this goes tonight. I was supposed to come back and give a commentary on the George Floyd case on Friday. I missed it because I was too busy taking care of myself. I had some surgery about a week ago, and even though I'm better, I kind of had a slight relapse. I wanted to take some time and take care of myself. So we will start back with the George Floyd case again tomorrow. And what I want to do right now is I want to talk about the Real Housewives shows and Married to Medicine. I have the Real Housewives of Atlanta, which I'm going to do tonight on this in this forum. So let's go ahead and get started. I've taken some notes during the show. They're a little scribbly, so I need to move my light here so that I can see them a little bit. I'm still working on getting a setup here. I have some people who are going to be working with me with my YouTube channel, but we're trying to determine how we're going to do this during the pandemic. So at any rate, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to title this one, Kenya Moore Loses and Drew Sidora Wins. And I say that basically because Kenya kept saying tonight that she won in terms of who had the better trip. You know, Kenya went to the Isle of the Palms in South Carolina, took the ladies, didn't feed them, also didn't really have any plans for them. They didn't have like anything other than the Bolo event, which was actually planned by Candy. That's all they really had there. And Kenya afterwards made a debacle of that. So yes, you planned the trip, but you lack the hospitality of being classy when you make a debacle of an event that you actually planned. So I'm giving her zeros for that. Word to the wise, I love Kenya. I have been a Kenya fan since day one. I have fallen off slightly over the past few years because she has done some things that have just been so immature of a woman. Even if you're in your 30s, it's immature. Let alone if you're in your 40s and your 50s, it really begins to get immature. At the same time, I don't like Porsha at all. And I don't like her because I don't like violent women. I don't like women who are very anxious about exhibiting physical altercations against other women. So don't like her at all. So I'm going to go ahead and just talk about that now that I've gotten that out of the way. I want to say that initially I was not a Drew Sidora fan. I was not even, up until today, I didn't want Drew Sidora to come back onto the Real Housewives of Atlanta because I had my own thought processes about her that I don't want to share because I don't want to say something negative about someone, and they were really quite negative. Up until today, I changed my mind because this morning I was in church and we talked about some things, and one of the things that we talked about was being prejudgmental about people, or not giving people the benefit of the doubt. And who are we to do that? Only Christ is really allowed to do that. So as a result, I want to repent. And um, I was looking at the show tonight, and I really saw some good points about Drew that make me want her to come back. In terms of her being a part of the cast, I think she does really bring some things to the group of women, and I want to give her another opportunity next year just to see what else she has, because with the planning of the event in New Orleans, she did a pretty good job. I like that she fed the women. She had a few events planned for the women, kept them busy, occupied. There was a little bit of drama, which everyone likes on the Real Housewives shows. Quite frankly, I can live without the drama because I started out with the Real Housewives of Orange County. Um, but then again, let me stop and rethink that, because on Orange County, there was also an issue with, I don't know if you recall, but two of the daughters actually had a physical altercation at their daddy's business. and that was, I don't know which season that was of Orange County, but that was before Atlanta even came on, because Orange County was on like 2 or 3 years before Atlanta was even thought about. Um, and even so, after Orange County, there was New York, and then there was Atlanta. So I, um, I don't know. I liked Orange County even without that altercation, though. I just liked it, and I liked the women, the way they communicated, and got together, and so. Nowadays, that's a boring show. So I'll move on. I want to look here and see what else. I've already talked about Porsha. Tonight, they had a spat. They picked it up with Marlo because Porsha had a conversation with Marlo last week about how she felt like that Marlo had, I guess, betrayed her somehow. And so Marlo tonight erupted. She erupted. She feels like she wants to know the truth, and whoever's telling the truth is who she's going to go with. She also created, some havoc in the room there because as she left, Porsha and Kenya got into a huge, dramatic, verbal altercation. And the thing that gets to me about Porsha is she gets this look over her face, and it's a crazy look. And I have an issue with women like that. It means that you're not civil. It means that you're uncivilized. So for her to have marched in the Black Lives Matter for justice, and then to sit at the table with one of her colleagues or one of her peers on the show and tell them, don't say my name, that was childish. That was so childish. That's what girls say in high school. So you can tell her brain has not formulated really beyond high school, because don't you say my name, and they want to start a fight from that. That's what that's initiating. And even when she dragged Kenya across the floor, years ago at that reunion, I just felt that was unnecessary, even though I didn't like Kenya provoking her with that big horn that she had. I think that Andy should have really intervened early on to prevent that altercation. Or had it been me, I would have said to Andy, listen, I'm going to need you to have her remove this bullhorn, or we're going to have a problem. I would not have just gotten up and lost my temper like that. So, I digress. I don't like violence. I can't get into it. And this is, what else do I have here? So, let's see. I want to back up to and go to when Porsha keeps telling Marlo that her and Marlo are better friends than Marlo and Kenya. When the reality is Marlo and Kenya and Porsha and Kenya have both interdependently had tumultuous relationships. Initially, Marlo and Porsha did not get along. As you remember, a couple of seasons ago, Marlo and Porsha had an argument at a dinner table, and they were about to go to blows, and Porsha didn't do anything to Marlo. And I think she didn't do anything to Marlo because she is kind of intimidated by Marlo. I think that she doesn't want to have a physical altercation with Marlo because she knows that Marlo is on that same level as she is. And she feels that Kenya, when it comes to physical altercations, is softer, that Kenya doesn't want to go to blows. So I think it's easier for Porsha to bully women that she can't level up to when it comes to physical altercations. So that's what I'll say. Next, I want to go ahead and say, Candy left the trip early. I think that was probably a good idea, seeing as how things turned out. They were literally in the midst of a hurricane, or the forefront of a hurricane there in New Orleans, and the lights were going out and everything. So the fact that they had just left that morning was really a good idea. That must have been some spirit in them just telling them, hey, let's, get out of here. Or maybe it all happened for that reason. At any rate, they left. Um, Drew's fashions are so highly questionable. Drew cannot dress. I'm sorry, she can't dress. I cannot believe she was a Hollywood actress. I used to watch the game, but I stopped watching it because I forget why I stopped watching it, but I stopped watching it. And so I do not remember when she came on. Maybe I would need to look at that show again. Maybe I'll find it on YouTube or somewhere. However, Drew is not fashionable, and she needs to really find someone to help her in that category, because she is an actress, and we want to see actresses who are fashionable. We don't want, she wears, it's just tacky. Even the outfit that she wore to Candy's new restaurant tonight, called Blaze Restaurant. That's a beautiful restaurant. I loved how the outside was set up, the lighting, the women all look so beautiful. And the one thing I have to say about Porsha is, girl can dress. Porsha she never disappoints when it comes to dress. She looked excellent tonight at that restaurant. Her hair, her makeup, she's always on point. She's a beautiful looking person. I just think she's quite imbalanced, though. I think she's quite imbalanced. But anyway, I digress again. But Candy's restaurant, Blaze, looked really good. If I were in Atlanta, I would go there. In fact, I lived in Atlanta 13 years. And I lived there during the days of Escape, and whenever Candy and Escape were performing, they used to have this sisters only event in Atlanta, and I remember going to see them. They performed at that event, and that was my first time ever seeing them live, and they sounded great. But Candy wasn't leading the song. The other girl was leading the song, and her voice was amazing. The two sisters, it was one of the sisters that were leading a song on stage whenever I went. Anyway, so I keep looking at my hair because it looks like asymmetrical on this picture, and I don't know, okay, which way to look. Anyway, getting back to the restaurant, when Drew and her husband walked in, he always compliments her, tells her she looks great, and that's what a husband's supposed to do. She didn't look great, though. She did not look great. Whatever it was that she had on that was stringing on those pants, I was like, what in the world is that? Did she just like buy a pair of pants and just like cut them out or something? It's just like, anyway. So I don't know what's going to happen next week. Oh yes, I do. Al Sharpton is going to be there next week, so I'm going to definitely have to look at that. Let's see if there's anything else I want to talk about with them. Their face shields. I love their face shields. Those are the best face shields I've ever seen. I want to find out where they get those face shields. So anyway, I know I said a lot of tonight. I'm not going to remake this tape because I want to get to Married to Medicine. And so please comment. Let me know what you think about this this particular video, and please like it, subscribe to it, and click the notification button. And I'll be back speaking with you tomorrow evening about the George Floyd case. That is really a very important case. It's very important. I had an experience with the Boston police, and I'm a person, I never thought I would have an issue with the police because I'm so on point. Just by nature, I do the right thing. And so when we had the issue with the Boston police, I thought, man, they will go with anyone if they come after us. It was awful. It was awful. And I have to say, I call them the W's. The W police have been infiltrated as from the KK. They have been, the police precincts across the nation have been infiltrated by W supremacists, white supremacists. They definitely have been. Um, there is no amount of hate in the world than the W's who hate us because we are black. That will never be acceptable. It just will not be acceptable. Um, you can hate all you want to. Go ahead and do that because that's your soul. You will not be in the kingdom for what you're doing to us. The Bible says there will be no murderers in the kingdom of heaven. So it doesn't say there will be no murderers unless you are a police officer, unless you are a congressman or a senate. There'll be no hate unless you are Mitch McConnell, or unless you are, what's his name down here in South Carolina. Oh goodness, I say his name all the time and I can't even think of it now. But anyway, doesn't say that. It does not excuse policemen and senators and insurrectionists from anything. God is the same with all people. He is not a respecter of people. He is not a respecter of persons. So if you're watching this, you need to think about that, because racism is what caused George Floyd to be murdered. That officer who had his foot on George Floyd's neck, had his foot there, had it been a white man, that would not have happened. So that is racism. And this wasn't his first time doing something in terms of police brutality against someone black. So he had a record. And I'm going to leave that there. It's bothered me so much since the Rodney King trial, even though Rodney King is no longer here. It bothered me because Rodney King was the first one we saw on videotape. That was the first one. And we were like, wow, who beats someone? Who does that? That's what they used to do to the slaves. Listen, you've got to think in your head as a culture, why is your culture always doing that to other people? You have to think that. You have to be conscientious and repentant about those things. But I know that that's not going to happen because, the Bible tells us many are called, few are chosen. But this was supposed to be a Real Housewives conversation, so I went off on a tangent. I will not be remaking the tape as I did last week because I remake them and I'm just going to have to get better along the way. I hope that you've enjoyed this conversation. Let me know about any other topics that you want to hear me speak about. I want to go live so we can talk about these things and so everyone can interact. And so we'll see at the end of 30 days. I hope that my numbers are up. I'm feeling much better. So thank you. Have a good day.